Hello and welcome to another episode of VidNerds. My name is Ernesto, and with me is always my partner, my very sexy partner, Mr. Devin.
That's me.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. A little sleepy.
Yeah.
Doing this quite early this time.
Yeah, it's pretty early. It's Sunday morning, about 10:30. I don't know why we're complaining.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So it's that thing.
Although I spent all night partying and stuff, so yeah.
Oh, yeah? Did you?
No, I played video games until
Oh,
about
yeah.
3 in the morning. So today we're doing
Wanted.
Wanted, the
The
2008 classic.
The vehicle that catapulted James McAvoy into stardom.
Yeah.
Is it true, actually? Or am I just making things up?
No, that's pretty much. You're pretty much right. That's yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much always right. I'm the smartest man alive.
Except when you bought all those wombats and they got loose in that mall.
Yeah, well, we don't talk about that.
But the court. Oh, because the court date is still pending.
It's called a gag order.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not allowed to talk about it.
Gotcha. So, yeah, actually, that's a good jumping off point. Thank you for segueing into James McAvoy. This movie was when James McAvoy was first on the scene with this movie. He had been doing bit parts before.
Okay.
Pretty much. Band of Brothers. He was in Band of Brothers for a hot minute.
Oh, okay.
And just little bits parts here and there. And they wanted actually someone bigger for this role, but they ended up going with the runt of the litter is what they called.
Yeah, I
So
remember reading about that.
Yeah, so they wanted McAvoy to be they'd pretty much give him a chance.
So who are the guys that they were looking for the character? Because he plays who? What's his name?
We're prepared.
Yeah. Hey,
Let's see. His name is Wesley.
Wesley.
Wesley Crusher.
Yes.
Wait, no, that's not right. I think they had put in various different people like Brad Pitt. They wanted, who else did they want? Well, I know for Angelina Jolie, they wanted, before Angelina Jolie, they wanted Jessica Biel, which I don't know.
At that time, not at the time, I don't think.
Yeah.
What was she doing at the time? Did she just do Blade 3?
Well, she had they did Blade 3, and then she had just finished Seventh Heaven, and she was like, I want to be sexy now, because she was like in that show. And then she ended up doing Stealth, which is
Stealth.
Yeah, remember Stealth?
I don't think so.
Jamie Foxx, Jessica Biel,
I'm sure if I
Luke
saw
Evans,
it. Yeah.
where it was about the airplane that was like not man-made.
I remember that. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, the worst movie ever.
Okay.
My favorite line of that movie is, it just downloaded some music. What music? All the music. It's like, what? And then it would keep playing Incubus.
Oh, God.
And it's like, you have all the music in the world. And you just,
play Incubus.
You're stupid, Airplane. No wonder you blew up. It doesn't really say here who Ryan Phillippe they wanted.
Ugh.
Which
I'm not a
weird.
Philippi fan.
You're not a
You're not a Philan.
You're not a Phillippe file.
No. I'm not a nah.
You're not a
Philophile. Flow. Flim flams. Since when did we become Bill Cosby?
A flim flam. We're the fly on the Ryan Phillippe.
Oh, they're eating the pudding.
We're the Phillippe.
The flam flams.
So anyway, let's start. Let's
talk about
We were just talking
Wanted.
about McAvoy.
McAvoy, yeah.
What's your
Enough
personal-
about Professor X.
Yeah, enough about the professor.
I want him to
So
be bald.
sleepy.
I really want him to be bald.
Now or in the movie?
Just in general.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Let's go get like some clippers and then wait outside his house.
and then we'll jump him.
Yeah.
And then we'll just trim all the hair from his body.
I thought you said bald. Are you?
Yeah.
We're gonna.
All the hair from his body. We remove it.
Hey, are the mics off?
Yeah.
Because that was
they're off.
very disturbing. Like what you just
Are you
said.
scared?
I am kind of scared. You
Really?
just. Yeah.
Do you want to be bald?
No, let's go for McAvoy. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, back to the show. I mean, what?
So we had Wanted on our list. It's essentially a story about a, what do you think?
Guy.
Well, they're called a fraternity.
Yeah. So,
And they're these crazy, super talented, mystical, super powered assassins.
Yeah. And
They have the ability to curve bullets,
yeah.
which makes sense.
They use
one
this,
of
like tunnel vision type
yeah,
deal.
they have weird tunnel vision. It's like when Neo's looking through the Matrix.
Pretty much.
One guy was able to use super speed and super strength to run across
Did they ever
skyscrapers.
explain why?
No. It's just kind of like how they never really they didn't really explain a whole lot. Just that there's a giant loom that has this secret special binary code that it prints out. What it does is it prints out names, and you interpret the name through the binary code, and whoever name pops up, you're supposed to kill,
Right.
as opposed to like give $20.
Right. What if it was that you had to give $20 and then you're like, shit, I've been killing so many people when I could have at least just given them like $100.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be kind of fun.
So
And-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, I was just gonna say this whole fraternity, as they call themselves, of what are they, Weavers?
Beavers?
Beavers, fraternity of Beavers.
Sick. Weavers.
No, Reavers is from not Serendipity, Serenity.
Serenity. Oh yeah, that's right.
So the Weavers are the ones that weave the loom, and I don't know if it's considered a big group or a small group, but apparently there's this one dude who found out some secrets, went AWOL, so his kid unknowingly gets caught up in the business, and his
Right.
kid being Mr. McAvoy.
Right. Wesley. His
Wesley
name is in the
Crusher.
movie, and he's kind of like a loser nobody at the beginning of the movie. And guess what? By the end, he's not a loser nobody, people.
Because he's
Twist.
a badass.
Yeah, he's a badass. He's wanted.
Uh,
Yeah. What's your what was your experience with this film? Did you see it in the theaters?
I did not see it in the theaters. It was one of those movies that it was kind of like Equilibrium, right?
Yeah.
And which is kind of funny because they're both kind of like gun-toting movies, sort of things. But it was one of those movies that I'd never watched in the theater, but when I watched it, I was like, I love this movie. I think it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. I mean, if you can get past the curving the bullet sort of stuff, it can be a little silly, but I enjoyed the movie. I do like the transformation of Wesley Crusher from being just a guy on the bridge of the Enterprise to being captain. Mm-hmm. It was quite interesting to me.
That's a good Wesley Crusher analogy right there.
Yeah.
You just like brought it back to Star Trek.
That's what I do.
You nerd.
And then all the stuff, the relationship that's going on with him and the Fox, who is Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
They become little buddies, and then part of Wesley's horrible life is the fact that he's got a pretty emotionally abusive girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she's banging his best friend,
Which is Chris Pratt
Chris Pratt. Yeah.
from Parks and Recreation and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. And one thing that I did like very much about this is when Wesley's sitting there talking about the low points of his life in the background. 9 Inch Nails' Every Day is exactly the same as playing.
That's right.
And then you made the comment because he's talking, they have the song playing, and then some story arc happens, and then he kind of repeats himself and plays the song again.
Yeah.
And you made some snarky comment about, just play the song again. Huh.
I don't sound like that. I don't sound like Stallone.
Hey, yo, Rocky.
Green Lazy. So let's go into pre-production for this. Did you know that Angelina Jolie based her role of Fox on Clint Eastwood?
What?
Yeah. She wanted to be kind
As
of like...
feminine as Clint Eastwood is?
Yeah, just a skinny 90-pound
Yeah, I
Clint
like
Eastwood.
it. I dig it.
But she's very stoic in it, and she's very kind of Dirty Harry-ish, where she does the right thing, and you can tell that she kills people for money and stuff like that. And
Yeah, all good things.
although there's like a scene where McAvoy asks her why she's doing what she does, and then she talks about how this guy like came to her house because her dad was a judge, and the guy didn't like what he had done, so he burns the dad right in front of her while she's tied up during Christmas or something like that. But how did that get her into the Brotherhood?
I don't know. That's one thing they didn't really go too deep into explaining. I have a feeling that it just kind of made her rage out, and she probably became a troubled kid, and maybe somehow stumbled upon
Gotcha.
something, unless that's maybe a backstory that they were hoping to explore in like Wanted 2 or pre-Wanted, the prequel of.
I mean, I read the comic books, but I read it years ago, and it's drastically different from like the movie.
That's a good point that you brought up, because I was going to ask you, because I know that you did mention that you read the comics, and I wanted to know how this movie compares to the comics.
It's pretty different. I mean, they're essentially a league of villains, and what they do is they create like the Weavers or whatever. They're a league of villains who pretty much run a gamut on what they can't be stopped.
Okay.
And whatever. And they end up having corruption within each other. And like the person that's pulling the strings ends up being Wesley's father, but he wants to be killed by Wesley because he feels like anybody else is like not worthy of killing him. So it's a very like weird story. It's pretty violent, way more violent than like the movie itself.
Okay.
And it doesn't have as much coherency. There's a big like blob lava monster. Like it's like,
so it's a little bit more out there.
Yeah, completely and utterly.
I do like the story or kind of like the story arc between Wesley and his father. How they said that this guy killed his father, and that he wanted, and that's what drives Wesley to want to join this. Other than the fact that all of a sudden now you got a bunch of cash because your father left it for you, and you could become a badass.
Right.
And so his driving force is being able to kill the man that killed his father.
Right.
Spoiler alert, the guy who he's trying to kill, whom he eventually kills, reveals with his dying breath that he is his father.
That's right. Also, if you're listening to this and you get pissed off over spoilers, you're a big old dum-dum.
Yeah.
So
we should probably have a spoiler alert that says there will be spoilers on all these
That's right.
episodes.
Yeah.
So
yes, absolutely.
Regardless.
And it's better to go into these with the knowledge of the movie that you actually saw. I mean, although listen whatever way you want. But anyway, we're going into pre-production. We were talking about how this movie was written. I'm assuming it was quite the challenge to take it from the comic book to the film. It actually went through 3 rewrites. Mm-hmm. The first one Mark Miller didn't like.
Okay.
Mark Miller of Kick-Ass fame.
Yeah.
And The Secret Service, which is coming out, I guess, this summer. Mm-hmm. He's known for very high-octane, action-packed films. And he thought this one was a little too lame, the first rewrite.
Okay.
Then the second rewrite they took and they wanted to add a person to it, like a name. And that's where they got Angelina Jolie. So they made it as a vehicle for Angelina Jolie.
Okay.
And then the third rewrite, they actually created the character. Well, they put the character of Wesley in and they hashed it out for James McAvoy.
Okay.
And thus, that's the final product that you end up seeing.
So was the fox in the comic book?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
I think she was an African-American woman, though.
Oh.
Yeah, and they totally changed it. So thanks, Obama.
Yeah, you can't have a superstar action hero African-American.
Right.
Woman.
That's asking too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jolie did her own stunts for this movie, which is a lot of it. I mean, most of it's CG. You can totally tell, like when they're running on top of the trains and stuff.
Yeah,
like
right. And she's doing her little laying down and letting the go under the bridge.
Right.
Did she do her own stunt when she was walking out of the wax bath and showed off her butt?
I think so. I think that's her butt. Okay. I don't think it's a stunt butt. And I have a huge knowledge of stunt butts.
Okay, I was gonna say you have a huge boner. I was gonna, that's kind of awkward right now.
Well, that too. But the office here actually has a magnet that says "We'll make giant boner for beer."
Yep.
And so it's kind of our mantra.
I had a lot of beer last night, so needless to say, plenty of giant boners everywhere.
Wait, did you make it before the beer or after the beer?
I think it's a combination of both. Like
okay.
I had to earn the beer, but then the beer just gave me this raging boner.
Okay. Well, that's enough for VidNerds today.
Now our new podcast, Bonerville.
Boner Town. The opening was actually originally the opening of this movie is set in like an office building, and an Indian woman gets shot in the head and all this other stuff, and like you see the death of Wesley's father.
Yeah.
The opening scene originally was supposed to be set in ancient time, talking about the Weavers, which we end up seeing in the middle of the film more.
Okay, yeah.
But that cut in the middle of that film was supposed to be at the very beginning, explaining what the fuck was going on, even though it doesn't really explain what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
What did you feel like? Did you like the Loom storyline? Do you think it's a good storyline?
I don't know. They didn't explain. I don't think it needs explanation, but to me, it's like, oh, there's a magical loom that magically knows people's names, that magically says, hey, you're supposed to kill this person.
Right.
I thought that was a little silly. I do like the idea of being able of them interpreting
Okay.
the names. I like the this mist thread here represents a 0. This mist thread here represents a 1, and then having to, and then of course being able to corrupt that with Morgan Freeman's character when he just started putting, when people's names would come up of people on his team, he would hide them and not kill them, but send them out to kill other people, and then he would end up just picking and choosing who he wanted to die.
Right.
So
Sloan.
Sloan, yeah, Sloan. There you go.
And he actually didn't. He does a good job. And I think Morgan Freeman, and I kind of like, except for what was that one movie? Dreamcatcher.
I like Dreamcatcher.
I did not like.
Yeah, that was a Stephen King movie.
It was terrible.
It was a good movie with the aliens, Mr. Gray.
I hated that movie.
Donnie Wahlberg was in it.
It turned into a Beast Wars episode at the end of that movie.
2 aliens fighting. How can you not like that?
Because I don't like aliens fighting. Okay.
Well, you're gonna be in trouble for next week.
Damn it. Anyway, this movie was directed by Timur Bekmambetov. Bekmambetov. And he did 2 other films called Night Watch and Day Watch. Did you ever see those?
I've seen Baywatch.
What was it? Baywatch?
I've seen Baywatch.
Yeah, I've seen Baywatch too. We can go back to the boners Baywatch.
So,
but
he
Night
directed
Watch?
2 films. Are they related to each other?
Yeah,
Okay,
apparently.
I was gonna say because that's kind of convenient. Night Watch and Day Watch.
Yeah.
What
Night
about
Watch-
Morning Watch? Do you do Morning Watch?
No, he did
Afternoon Watch?
Dawn Watch.
Dawn Watch.
Apparently, it was like about a fantasy thriller set in like present day Moscow, where the respective forces that control daytime and nighttime do battle, which is all you need to know. Apparently,
We're gonna have to put those movies on our list.
I'm down. Actually, they kind of don't sound too bad. He also did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh God,
So, yeah, the best movie ever.
it's so horrible.
So horribly good. What else do we have here? Angelina Jolie wanted to die at the end because she felt the character wanted to.
Like Angelina Jolie herself, or
No,
she
Angelina's
wanted the character to die?
wanted. She wanted Fox to die. And I just think that she didn't want to do a sequel, even though there's a sequel in the works, apparently.
No, that sequel has been in development hell ever since.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember correctly, there was some sort of screenplay written for it, but it hasn't been approved, and it looks like it would be. I think first draft they wanted to move away from the Wesley character and focus more on other people, but now it looks like they're going to be going back to the Wesley character, who in turn would end up being like the Fox character and taking somebody under his wing and training them. So,
Right. It actually, there was a couple of things like Common wanted his character and Angelina Jolie's character to have like a prequel,
yeah.
but of course, Common would want that.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to find an excuse to be able to bang Angelina Jolie.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or like, what's Common doing now? You know what I mean? Like, I haven't really seen him in anything.
Is he rapping still?
I don't know. Is he a rapper?
Yeah, that's where he came from.
I thought he was like more of an R&B.
I don't know, rapper, R&B.
Art research and development. He's on Hell on Wheels apparently.
Yeah, he is.
He was on
Yeah.
He was in Now You See Me, which I never saw because it's like about magic and try to make magic cool.
What is this, Harry Potter?
Yeah. Apparently, it's common to have Common in your stuff, huh?
Oh, yeah, I think
Wagga
so.
wagga.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, so how much do you think the budget of this movie was?
The budget of the movie, oh gosh, it had to have been. There was some CG. I mean, being able to bend the bullets, all the blood, Angelina Jolie's butt. It had to be, I don't know, maybe. Let's go with $100 million.
It actually cost $75 million.
Dang it! That was gonna be my second one. I was close.
Come here, I get to smack you now.
Ah.
How much do you think it made its first weekend?
$5 million. I'm lowballing it.
No, actually, it was a smash hit its
Oh.
first weekend. $50 million.
$50 million.
Yeah,
Jeez.
but it was not actually the top movie in the theater.
What was the top movie in the theater?
Wally.
Wally.
Wally kicked its ass.
Maybe that's why I never saw Wanted, because I saw Wally in the theater. Yeah.
Wally or Wanted?
Wally. I
Wanted Wally. That's a different kind of movie. The movie grossed total $341 million.
Okay.
It's a lot of money. That's a smash hit, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Like for a movie that's, not.
And I think it's well deserved. I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I mean it's a decent flick. It's entertaining. It's not, Citizen Kane, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it had exploding rats. How
Yeah.
awesome is that?
yeah, that's pretty cool. The video game, there was a video game released in 2009.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which actually I played for a hot minute. It was pretty fun. Actually, you could if you couldn't reach a guy, you could curve the bullet, and what would happen was like a little rope would come out of the gun, and it would you would be able to curve it.
Choose the path?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you could just fire it and kill people from around corners. It's kind
Interesting.
of cool. It was pretty interesting.
Was it a first person, third person?
It was a third person, kind of
Okay.
like Resident Evil 4, and
Okay, yeah. Did it follow Wesley's character, or was it like a...
It was Wes's character. I think it took place right after the film, and he's actually wearing the costume that he wears in the comic book.
Okay.
Which is they wear it one time in the movie where they're on the trains. It's black leather, but he also has kind of an S&M mask over his head.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, and I guess they didn't want to pay money for an actor like James McAvoy and then cover his face. That's why the character in the movie doesn't have that.
Okay. Which is natural. I mean, that's what they do with every single movie.
Right.
That's why I appreciate Dredd so much.
Yeah, exactly. Because Carl Urban is, you don't even see his face. You see his
which is the
lower
way it's
mouth.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
With unlike your Stallone, you gotta see my face.
Yeah. Any movie that they're like, hey, you know what? This is them in 1993. They're all sitting around, a whole bunch of agents, and they pull their faces off of a big mountain of blow. And they're like, you know what? We should get Rob Schneider in this Judge Dredd movie. Because when I think Judge Dredd, I think of Rob Schneider. I am the law. Yeah.
That was my Rob Schneider impersonation.
That was a pretty good one. I like that.
Pretty good. Yeah,
that's really good.
I've been practicing.
Like we said, there was a sequel in the works, and then it took forever, so Angelina Jolie backed out of it, even though in the movie Angelina Jolie gets her head blown off, so I don't know how she would come back.
Yeah, I mean, that special wax bath they were taking, and there was obviously some left over.
But that guy died from a bullet earlier, and it wasn't in the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe she just her head's full of wax,
maybe.
and she's like, what's his name?
So let's talk about that wax
Mice
bath.
and Men.
So that wax bath apparently was a way to heal the body faster.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was able to heal bruises, broken bones, and lacerations.
Yeah.
But any sort of fatal blow, like maybe a puncture to a major artery or some sort of key body part, you were just effed. And so you would just bleed out and die.
Right. And I actually really wanted donuts after seeing that, because they looked like they had nice glaze over their faces.
It's like if you took a Krispy Kreme donut and you just kind of crushed it a little bit, and they would just crack and shatter.
Right, flake.
Oh,
Yeah.
And you just shoved James McAvoy right in your mouth. Oh, no.
I don't know. Then there's a lot of we were talking about 9 Inch Nails earlier. There's a lot of different music in it. We had 9 Inch Nails, obviously, like we said.
9 Inch Nails.
From With Teeth. Is that album?
Every day. Yes, it was from With Teeth.
Yeah. Then we had the Pina Colada song, which everybody knows.
'Cause you love Pina Colada.
Danny Elfman actually really enjoyed Day Watch and Night Watch. Everybody knows Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman.
And he actually wrote a song called Little Things. It was written and performed by him for the movie, which you can hear in the middle of the flick.
Yeah, it's happening.
It's right after he quits his job.
And he's driving away? Oh, no, he's walking
with
away.
Jolie. Jolie picks him up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we'll put it on the Facebook page or YouTube thing.
Okay.
Of that song. What did you think about the special effects in the film?
The special effects were okay. I do like there's one stunt where Wesley's having to kill this mobster guy, and he's in an armored limo, but the sunroof is open because the guy's smoking a cigar and the smoke's going out the top, and so Wesley's just driving by, blasting out the window, and then he's like, oh, he sees the smoke coming out of the top, so he knows what he has to do So then he sees Angelina Jolie in her Corvette. He nods at her, whom apparently understands what he has to do as well. So she drives up ahead, spins around, goes towards him, hits the brakes, and he like somehow rears his car up, so he ends up getting launched up in the air and flipping over the limo. And then once he's flipping over the limo, he just blasts the fool through the sunroof. I thought that was a pretty fun little moment. The car chase at the beginning, it's at the beginning because that's when McAvoy's in the store and he first meets Angelina Jolie.
Yeah,
and
he's getting his pills.
There's just a lot of crazy stuff going on. Slamming into cop cars, kind of like it got me kind of pumped for GTA. Like it made me want to go play GTA, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, this is where it's like showing you that there's like the absurdity of the film where she like launches the car and then it lands on a bus and then it peels off of the bus.
Yeah.
Just like completely defying physics.
And one thing that amazes me is that it's essentially a UPS truck, which is what the Wesley's father is driving and getting away in. That's his getaway vehicle. He stole a UPS truck, but it's actually a food truck. And Angelina Jolie's driving a Dodge Viper, and she can't catch him.
Yeah.
So
it's a fast food truck.
I hate when obviously
you don't know the specs.
But I get so annoyed when you've got oops, that's your phone.
Party foul.
I get so annoyed when movies take the lead character, put him in a super awesome car because it's supposed to help establish how badass of a character they are, and they go chasing against a bad guy. But when you're chasing the bad guy can't have an obviously equally cool car. They got to have something mangy and stupid because it's something they just have to pull somebody out and get right in. So they get the most getaway vehicle they can possibly get, like a glorified ice cream truck.
True.
And they make it to where the super fast American car or Asian car or whatever can't catch up to the stupid ice cream truck.
That's true.
I hate when that happens in movies. And it happens like it in action movies. It seems like it happens so often. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see how it would be frustrating to be like, okay,
I'm in a Dodge Viper. I can't go fast.
True. I drive a Dodge Stratus and I can catch up to a ice cream truck, especially if it's a hot day and I really want some ice cream.
Toast Amba.
What else were?
What'd you think about curving the bullet?
The bullet curving was kind of cool. It's completely impossible, but it was fun to watch.
Is the curving of the bullet a big story piece in the comics?
No.
Really?
Yeah. It's more of a special effects thing for the film.
So to me, it feels like they wanted to do something comparable to, I don't know, like in The Matrix.
Right.
Right. And it's like, what's our 360 spinorama sort of thing that we can do?
Right.
Oh, hey, we can bend the bullet.
Right.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of silly. I think, but then again, there's a lot of small things about this movie that make it kind of silly, but also kind of enjoyable at the same time.
Yeah, totally. Now we got some. We actually have some fan questions.
Yeah.
Fan questions. We'll start with Mr. Cypher Raul, right? Mr. Cypher Raul. Sorry if I butchered your name.
Yeah.
He says it was awful. And then when we asked him what you didn't like about it, he said everything.
Yeah.
So thank you, Cypher. That was great.
Great guest spot.
Yeah. Mr. Joe Habib, who's a huge fan of this movie, wants us to touch on a couple of things.
Okay.
One is Common, which we did touch on a little bit.
Yeah, I'm all about touching Common.
Yeah. Well, what? The second is shoot this motherfucker, which is the line that Morgan Freeman loves to say at the end of the movie. We'll put a clip of it on YouTube as well.
It's so like, I don't know. I think, not knowing his character too much, because his character was just like a stoic, cold sort of leader type thing, or character. But then all of a sudden he just burst out into like some weird gangster talk. It was really, really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because I kind of imagine like the director going up to him and being like, okay, he's Russian, right? He's like, okay, we want you to say, shoot this motherfucker.
You say.
And then Morgan Freeman was like, hey, man, do I have to say that? And he's like, yes, we're paying you a lot of money. And he's like, all right, man, shoot this motherfucker. Like, it's pretty much how that line got into that movie because it's so out there. Like, out of nowhere, he's just like...
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was Sloane.
Yeah.
From what I saw. And then all of a sudden now he's like...
Super ghetto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, at the end, there's a huge bullet going through his head.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, but it was actually pretty cool.
Everybody poops.
That's true. That is informative and true. The next one that Joe wants us to know is how absurd it was that people actually worked for essentially what they believe to be a lubing factory.
Yeah.
A knitting factory. Don't we outsource knitting now? How come all those people making sweaters didn't realize Morgan Freeman was betting bullets just a few rooms down? Now, I agree, but most of those people were assassins in the weaving bit, right?
Yeah, so here's the thing, is the whole the loom factory, it's an actual operating factory, and they're actually making stuff there.
Yeah.
And I guess everybody that works there is an assassin, but they are also creating cotton.
I guess so. Like, is there one point where they're like, man, we need to get these sweaters out, but we also have to kill this president of Zimbabwe?
Yeah. So, like, what's more pressing? Like, are we going to lose the factory if I don't get this order out, or can I go kill the president of Zimbabwe?
Will we not hit Fashion Week?
Yeah.
If we miss this like sweater making thing?
Yeah.
Or should we go assassinate Coney 2012?
So I assumed that it was just a front. And so that's why,
so they're like throwing the sweaters in a ditch, like in the back?
No. Like there was an actual operating factory, but like in the back, that was like the whole secret thing.
Okay, it's like Heisenberg and Jesse.
Right.
Pinkman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, but what was weird is that when Wesley goes to get revenge and he attacks the factory, like all the workers are attacking Wesley.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And then even if it wasn't a front, like Wesley
kills
everybody with these explosive rats.
Yeah.
So he takes like this kerosene stuff, this flammable kerosene, puts it in peanut butter, feeds all these rats peanut butter, somehow puts them all in a dump truck, crashes the dump truck, lets the rats run around. The rats are destroying things. People are going crazy, and they all have little watches on them, little timers on them, and then they go kaboom and blow up the entire factory.
How do they go?
Kaboom. They go a kaboom.
Hey, kaboom.
Hey. So Wesley murders everybody in this factory. Now, I don't know if any of these people did him any wrong.
Yeah. Some people were probably like, because he had been in the Brotherhood for a while, so they're probably like, hey, I like that guy.
Yeah.
You know
He's like, hey, that's John. John's my boy.
Yeah.
We were having lunch together the other day. Boom.
Yeah. Why is this rat killing me?
So he blows up John.
Friggin' John.
My understanding is that he really just kind of wanted to go after Sloane and after Fox, because Fox knew that what's his name, Cross, was Wesley's dad.
Yeah.
And Wesley knew that Fox is supposed to kill Wesley.
Right.
So I think he was going after those two, and then obviously love conquers all, like it does in Hollywood, and
I think I'll put in my most what WTF moment right there, where McAvoy's running through the place, firing guns at everyone, and then one dude who was like, I guess Jolie, Morgan Freeman's right hand man, gets in the way, and he puts the bullet in. He puts the barrel right in his eye, and then
because he shoots him in the head.
Yeah, shoots him in the head, and then keeps running, and puts the barrel through the guy's head and is running with the corpse.
Yeah, and using the corpse as a shield, but still able to shoot at people through the cavity in this guy's head.
Which I think was inspired by Oliver Stone's JFK.
I think so.
Yeah, that was
because he kept going back and to the left. But yeah, I actually like that part of the raid. I thought it was it's so completely out there. I mean, you've got cars flipping, you got bullets bending. Why not put your gun through the cavity of a man's head and protect yourself and kill people at the same time.
Yeah.
It made perfect sense to me.
Cavity of a Man's Head was actually my my
High school band?
hardcore screamo band.
Nice.
In high school.
Can you sing us a little ditty?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good, right? The final bullet bend is the last thing that Joe wants.
The
us to-
final bullet bend, the perfect 360 circle.
Yes, this is the 360 circle that Jolie does. Which, do you think she knew she was gonna die at that moment? Because the bullet she had in there said goodbye. Or maybe all the bullets say goodbye.
I don't know. Maybe just her bullets say goodbye.
Whose benefit is that? Because a bullet goes so fast that you can't really read the goodbye. Like if you get like someone shoots you with a bullet that says goodbye in it, you're like, ah, and you die, right?
Yeah.
You're not like, you're not gonna be like, oh, goodbye, and you're like reading it as it goes into your stomach.
Or like you pull it out, you're like,
yeah, oh, goodbye. Like it's literally solely for the purpose of the like audience.
And so even though
Which probably costs money to like write goodbye on a bullet. So why have it?
yeah, unless she makes her own bullets.
Maybe, but
So that whole scene is they're in a very round room, and I guess Morgan Freeman reveals that everybody in that room, all the bad guys, were listed by the Loom to be killed.
Yep.
And so they all should have died.
Yep.
And
But
I
then
guess
Common says, "Fuck the Loom" or whatever,
yeah,
which sounds painful.
and yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with that little shuttle that was going back and forth.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to really time it.
And so I guess Angelina Jolie wanted to right all the wrongs, and so she curves the bullet, or the perfect 360 curve to blast everybody in the head.
Right.
And if she was really in love with Wesley, don't you think she would have just ducked when the bullet came back to her?
Maybe. But the reason she killed herself is because she wasn't killing people that were signed by the Loom. It was people that Morgan Freeman was wanting to kill. Like he was being paid by, I guess, some outside source to kill.
Okay.
So she was essentially killing people that didn't deserve to die.
Gotcha.
And so it was against her belief of what she had essentially become, that crazy dude that burned up her parents.
Yeah.
And didn't want to live anymore.
Okay.
And so that's why she died.
I don't know. I think she could have lived with it. It's just a little bit on her
Maybe she was
conscience.
just bored and she was like, fuck it.
Yeah. Nothing can get better than this.
Yeah. And then blood everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was all. Thank you, Joe, for writing in. I appreciate that.
And so if anybody else has any other questions, comments for any movie that we're talking about, definitely feel free to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/VidNerds, or even just hit us up on Twitter @VidNerds. We definitely announced the movies that we're going to be talking about next week in our podcast, so feel free to drop your tidbits and we'll feature you on the show.
You said tidbits.
Yeah, I got big old tidbitties.
That's true. I'm touching them right now.
What?
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. This is gross. So should we? I think that's pretty much it for once. Do you have anything else for once?
No. I mean, overall, what'd you think of the film?
It's a cool movie. It's a fun little action flick. It's, with those kind of movies, I'm kind of looking at my watch to waiting for it to end.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's a cool movie.
Yeah.
I'll visit it every 5 years or so.
Yeah,
so
whenever it's on like Sci-Fi or TNT or something like that,
Yeah.
it's like, oh hey, Wanted's on.
or Nick Jr.
Nick Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I first watched it.
I watched it too. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
It came on right after Wienerville.
Wienerville?
Yeah, you never watch Wienerville?
Dude, I remember that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wienerville.
Yeah.
Next week's show is Wienerville. Wait a second. It's not. Do you want to announce what our
next week's show? It's going to be. This is something we want to do once a month, and we want to talk about a movie that's going to be in theaters. And so we decided that our first movie should be something so epic, so awesome, that we both want to cringe and rip our eyes out when we go watch this film. So next week's episode is going to be all about Transformers 4.
Or, as I like to call it, Transformers.
Can you do your Mark Wahlberg impersonation?
What? No. Hey, Transformer. What are you talking about?
It's Optimus Prime.
Hey, Optimus Prime. Say hi to your mother for me. God, I can't. This movie apparently is the longest Transformers in history, and sitting in the the second one was utter torture for me.
Yeah, so this is gonna be great.
So if Devin records next week without me, it's because I died in the movie theater.
Probably.
And so yeah,
We should just go to Red Robin and get you full of beer before we go watch this. That way, like, you have no choice but to kind of sit there and watch, like, in like a zombie gaze.
and just like vomit flying everywhere.
Yeah.
Just for like 40 minutes.
Every time there's an explosion, you just.
3D is awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. So next week we'll be Transformers.
Anyway. Yeah.
So again, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/VidNerds. Twitter, we're at Twitter. VidNerds is brought to you by the Night of the Living Geeks Network. So not to get those two confused.
I'm Ernesto Areca. I'm at Nesto Pesto on Twitter.
I'm Devin DiNardo. I am at Hey Devo.
DEVO.
Da-da-da-da-ba-da-da.
And we're done.
Yeah.
We're good and done.
So we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye-bye.